Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to do product research for sending wholesale products into Amazon FBA. With the changes that Amazon has introduced for FBM orders, such as automatic returns and automatic refunds, I've been looking to just move away from solely doing dropshipping and instead expanding my FBA operations as well. So over the past year and a half, I've been slowly buying more in bulk from my suppliers and sending more shipments to Amazon. I'm sure you've heard this before, but with FBA, Amazon will go ahead and they'll store your product. Then when someone buys it, they will go and pick and pack it, and then they'll ship it out to the customer. Plus, they also handle returns, and this way you can go ahead and you can automate the entire fulfillment process for your items. This is just another way that I'm looking to outsource and automate certain aspects of my business. But without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. First, let's go over the software that I use. When it comes to wholesale FBA, I mainly use three software in my business. The first is going to be a priceless scanner. The second is going to be a software that allows me to see all of the data for the listing. And last, I look at a profitability calculator in order to see that I'm actually going to be profitable on this item. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the softwares. For the first part, which is going to be the priceless scanner, I use two different softwares. The first is I use ScanUnlimited. I have a lot of tutorials on my channel that go over ScanUnlimited. This is the priceless scanner that I've been using for roughly the past 2 years. Recently, I've been using a new one called Wholesale Inspector. As you can see, my trial has run out, but personally, I think that Wholesale Inspector gives you a lot more data, but I like the look of ScanUnlimited more, so there are pros and cons to each one. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be showing you ScanUnlimited. However, everything that I'm showing you in here can be looked at through Wholesale Inspector, and like I said, Wholesale Inspector also gives you other data points that are extremely crucial when you're doing wholesale FBA. When you start working with a new wholesale supplier, specifically if you're just going to be buying in bulk from them, then you want to try and get a price list, or you want to try and get a list that is going to have an item identifier on it and the cost for the item. This will let you enter it into a software like ScanUnlimited so that it can look up the listing on Amazon, see how much it's selling for, and let you know if you're going to be profitable based on the cost of the item on the sheet. So for example, let's say you start working with any supplier, you want to find a way to go ahead and get that price list from them. This could be as simple as just going onto your account on their website, or you can try emailing them and ask them, do they have a price list for their items? Once you get the price list from your supplier, you can then upload it to the price list scanner. Like I said, I have a lot more in-depth tutorials on this software, so I'm going to link those below. But just to give you an overview, as you can see right now, this is only showing 38 products, and that's because I have a bunch of filters on it to only show me the products I want to see. So as you can see, I can remove all of the filters. So let's go ahead and let's clear those filters. And once those filters are cleared, you'll see that now it's going to show that I have 2,228 products in this file. However, I want to go ahead and I want to add filters so that it's only showing me the ones that are meeting my criteria. And when I say meeting my criteria, I mean that they are actually meeting my criteria in terms of the profit I can make per an item, as well as maybe you have certain criteria for the number of sellers on a listing. You want to see if Amazon is on the listing. So what this software allows you to do is you can scan through thousands of products and it will do it extremely quickly rather than you having to do manual research and spending hours of your time going through each product. To give you a very brief tutorial, what you can do is you can click on any metric that you want. So let's say net profit. I want to see net profit greater than or equal to, and we can say $3. I can add that. And then also I want to add a filter for the sales rank. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over, I'm going to scroll to the sales rank, and then I'm going to add my filter. So let's say I want to see everything less than or equal to, we can do 100,000. And then we can also add another one where it's going to show us everything above 1. This way we'll find items that are selling below 100,000, but that are not negative. Sometimes you might find items that are going to be negative. These are just listings that are either deactivated or have other issues with them. So out of those 2,228 products, there are only 2 items that meet my criteria where the sales rank is less than 100,000 and I'm making at least $3 profit. So that just shows you how much work it would have been to go ahead and scan every single listing and how much time I would have wasted rather than just doing this. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do manual research. I still like to do manual research because sometimes this software can miss some products. Sometimes UPC codes don't match up. However, I like to do this because it lets me know what listings I should be focusing on right away rather than having to spend the time searching through the file manually to go ahead and look through 10,000 listings. Once this is done, what you want to do is you want to save your results. This way you have a file with your filtered products so that you can go through them and you can look at them to see, are they going to be good products to send to Amazon. For this example, I only have 2 products that meet my criteria. However, let's say you had 20 or 50 or even 1,000 products that you needed to look at. You can click the 3 dots right here and you can click download filtered. It's going to download a file of all the products that meet your criteria. The last thing that you can do is if you find a product that you really like or you want to, let's say, look into later, you can click the star setting and it's going to favorite that item so that you can find it later. Additionally, you can go ahead and you can quickly see some information. So from ScanUnlimited, we can see a lot of information such as the Keepa chart. You can also see the picture to get to know what the item looks like, as well as we can also go to the item on Amazon. And there's also a profitability calculator on ScanUnlimited. So for this example, let's go to this one. Our cost is $77.25 and our discount is $11.59. This is a discount that my supplier gave me, and I can go ahead and I can enter it into this file so that it reads that when it's calculating my profitability. So for this item, we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. I see it's a really big item. So seeing the size of this thing, it makes me second guess whether or not I should send this to Amazon. But let's take a look at the Keepa chart. So pulling it up, you can see that we have right now the new offers, as well as we also have the sales rank. So the sales rank has been going up, and you can see that this really doesn't sell that often. It drops every now and then, but it's not a consistent seller. So again, that might be something to take into account. Right now, I'm just doing a preliminary search, and I'm going to use other software to do a deep dive on this information. The next thing that you can do is you can click this icon right here, and then it's going to pull up the profitability calculator as well as the offers and the buy box information. Super valuable information, and we definitely want to look at it. So going down to the calculator, we have the product price. Next, we have our shipping cost. So if you know your shipping cost or your prep fee. So I entered my prep fee as $7 or more or less about $1 per pound. If you know your prep fee, again, you can add that there. Then you have your discount or your premium. And I see right here, my net profit would be $50 based off of all of the numbers I put in. So based off of all of that, and that Amazon does have the dimensions and they have the weight, again, they're telling me it's profitable. So I might be able to go ahead and send this in. Other information that you can see is you can see the offers that are on the listing, as well as it shows you who is winning the buy box. So I see that there are other FBA offers right here. I see that their ratings are both pretty good, as well as they are big sellers. This one has 36,000 feedback, as well as this one has around 25,000, and they've both gotten a decent amount in the past 30 days. So again, super valuable information, but right now this is just preliminary research. Scrolling back up, we also have some other data that I just want to quickly take a look at. We have right here, we have the estimated monthly sales. So they're not estimating any sales, but above that, we have the average sales rank for the 30, the 90, and the 180 days. Again, other information, you just want to be on the lookout for this. If it's going up, that means that it's not selling as well. You want the number to be going lower over the past 180 days. Certain items are seasonal, like toys, Halloween decorations, or anything like that. So that could be an indication of that. However, just generally, I want to see that an item is remaining consistent and is still selling. So from my initial looks, ScanUnlimited is telling me that I would make about $50 per sale just on the initial numbers that I put in. So it looks pretty good. The next step is, now that we've identified that this is a potential listing we should look at for FBA, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at it on Amazon. So what I want to do is I want to click the title. And again, there are different ways that you can do this. You can download a CSV, you can do this later in bulk, however you want to do it, however it fits into your routine or how you want to do product research. Once I get to the listing, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to be using a software called Keepa. Again, the link for everything will be in the description. Keepa is by far one of the most widely used software for Amazon sellers, especially wholesale sellers, because it shows you so much information for a listing. The most important thing that I look for are I'm looking to see the price history. So over here, you can see the price history of the listing. I can see that it was selling for $169 on August 8th. And then you can see that the price dipped a little bit to $114. And then right now it's sitting at around $197. The reason you want to look at this information is because you can tell where the price is heading and where it's been in the past. I can see that the item was selling at roughly $114 right here, but at that price, it was actually selling really well. And now you'll see that it's not really selling too well. The sales rank has been going up until maybe 1 sale a month, maybe 3 sales a month. And that's because the item is now sitting at close to $200. So there's a huge difference between $200 and $114. And if the item was $114, I would not be able to compete at that price because I wouldn't be profitable. The other thing you want to have checked is you want to have new, then you want to have new third-party FBA, and you also want to have buy box. So on this listing, Amazon is not here. So if Amazon was here, this information would be displayed here as well. And we'll take a look at an example in a minute. But for here, I can see that more or less the third-party sellers are the ones controlling the buy box, and the third-party offer is FBA. So from here, I can also go back to more timelines. So over a year, I can see that the price has more or less generally been at around 120. You can see that it does go ahead and does spike up from time to time. However, for around a half the year, the price was sitting at around 120, between 120 and 130. Again, it's really important information to know because right now the item is at $200. So I was estimating off of earning $50 profit on this listing, because if it was selling for its normal price, I would barely be making any money. The other thing that this will show you is it will show you if a product is heading towards a price war. What I mean by that is I generally stay away from listings that have been trending downwards. So you can find items on Amazon where the price has just been steadily going down penny by penny because sellers are trying to compete for the buy box. That is something that I try and stay away from because I don't want to be left holding an item that eventually will not be profitable when I'm selling it. Moving on to the next section, we have the sales rank. This is another super important statistic that you want to look at. The sales rank is going to show you how well the item is selling in that category. So I see right here that this item varies wildly. It can go as low as around 35,000 in patio, all the way up to 250,000. So this item, from the looks of it, is not selling well. Every time that you see a dip, that doesn't automatically mean it's a sale. However, that's kind of like a general rule. If you see more dips, it means more sales because the item is moving either down or it's moving up in the sales rank. And this item, as you can tell, more or less stays above 100,000. So this is something that I'm worried about because I don't want to buy an item that is not going to sell. The other thing that this can do is it can show you if an item will sell better at a certain price or if the item is also seasonal. So you'll see right here that the item actually sold fairly well. It's not a great selling item, but if you can get 5 sales a month, making $50 profit, that's $250. So it's not a bad listing per se, especially if you're a smaller seller. However, you can see that the item was actually selling better at a lower price of $120. Ever since the price went up, the sales rank also went up, meaning that customers are not willing to pay for the item at that price. If you see that a product is also moving up at a certain season, maybe let's say Q4 around December or November, that could also mean that the item is very seasonal. So during winter, it might not sell, etc. Certain other things that I look out for. The next thing is going to be the third graph. And here we also have some other crucial information. Here you can see that we can see the offer count, which means the number of sellers putting offers on the listing. We can also see the review count, so how many reviews on the listing, as well as we can see the rating. I don't really look at the review count or the rating. You can, but it's not too important for wholesale. What I look at is the offers. So you can see right here, we had a huge drop. There's around 6 sellers, and it was really steady. And then all of a sudden it dropped down and now we have around 2 or 3 sellers. So there could be a couple of reasons for this. It could be because the item went out of stock. It could be because the brand kicked off other sellers and they started issuing IP complaints, or they started trying to go ahead and get sellers removed off the listing. So this is something that you just want to take into account. If you see that there was a sudden drop and that it didn't recover, then you can always go ahead and you can contact the brand and ask them, I know that I can sell your products on Amazon. However, I just wanted to double check that it is okay if I send your products to FBA. It doesn't hurt to check, as well as this way you can avoid getting an IP complaint on your account. So now that we've gone over the 3 different graphs, the other thing that I check is you can go ahead and you can check the community tracking. You can see how many people are tracking a product. It's not too useful of a feature. It just lets you know basically how popular is this and how many sellers are looking at it. So I see 1 person is tracking it. It's not too much. And here we have statistics. So this will show you the average price. So you can see right here that we have a lowest price of $89 in 2019. The current price is $198 and the average is around $155. So we should be going off of $155 because that is the average price in the past 90 days. Here we also have the average sales rank. So again, really useful information. Perhaps the most used feature that I look at in Keepa is going to be the data. And like I said earlier, you can track this product if you wanted to add this to a product that you can go ahead and get updates for on the data. This is where you click that. But right now we're going to be taking a look at the data page because there is so much golden information right here. And again, this is something that has really helped me buy items that will sell. So scrolling over on the left side, you can see again the reviews. You can also see the last price change, the lowest FBA seller, and you can also see the buy box is FBA, etc., etc. All of this information is super useful. One thing I do look at is I do look at the package weight, as well as I also look at the dimensions. This will show you how big the item is. And over here, you can also have the sales rank current, and it'll show you the 90 and 180 day average. You can also see the drops. So this is something that I like to see because in the last 30 days, this has dropped 9 times. So when I was looking at the graph, I didn't see that the bar had actually dropped 9 times. It looked like it was just going up. But here I see that it actually did drop 9 times. So that could mean around 9 sales a month. Again, it could be a little bit less, a little bit more. This is just a generalization. In the past 90 days, it dropped about 45 times. And in the past 180 days, it dropped 104. So let's say that the item was selling for $155. That was the average 90-day price. That's what we could be basing our profit off of. So now that I have the information and I've gone ahead and I've seen that this item is selling, I want to go ahead and I want to check my profitability. Before I get to that, the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to see how many offers are on the listing. So by clicking this offer page, it shows me the history of the sellers on this listing. So I can see that both of them are prime, and I can see their price right now is $198, so they're matching each other. And here you can see that these sellers have been on this listing for the past 3 months, and more or less their price has mimicked each other. They've gone through all these ups and downs. They've been selling it at 170, then they've been selling it at 116. And here you can see how much each one has sold. So this seller has sold 61 units, this one has sold 7, and here you can also go ahead and you can see their stock history. So right now this seller has had about 7, then they sent in some. So this will also just show you how often this seller restocks their inventory. A lot of useful information, and I definitely want to make a more in-depth video about Keepa because this tool has so many use cases. The last thing I want to show you about Keepa is going to be looking at buy box statistics. This is probably the most useful information when it comes to FBA. This will show you how many sellers are competing in the buy box, what percentage of the time they are in the buy box, and which offers do you need to actually worry about when you're calculating how many units to buy. So I see right here, over the past 30 days, there have been a total of 3 sellers in the buy box. This seller right here has held the buy box 51% of the time, so roughly 15 days. This one has held it 24% and 24%. So again, this shows us the competitive offers and how many sellers we need to be worrying about. This also shows you their rating as well as their review count. So these are pretty large sellers. They're both selling it at FBA, and we also see their average price. You can also go right here to 90, 180, and 365. I tend to look at the 90 and the 180. Looking at the 180, we can see that there were roughly around 8 sellers, and some of them, they sold it or they held the buy box for less than 1%. These are our competitive sellers right here. And this one right here is the one dominating the buy box. Their average price was $154.80. So that would be the price that we would roughly need to compete against. With all of that in mind, we see that the competitive sellers right here, there was about 6 sellers that were competitive within the past 6 months. All of that information is now stored, and you can also write this down. You can put in a spreadsheet, and we're going to go to the third software, which is going to be, it's called AZ Insight by AsinZen. So I know I'm moving super quickly. I just want to reset everything. And right now we've looked at ScanUnlimited. We've gone ahead and we've found 2 products out of 2,000 that are actually worth our time in looking to see if we could send it to Amazon. Next, what I do is I go to that listing and I look at the Keepa information in order to see the price history, in order to see the number of sellers, and in order to determine whether or not the data actually shows if this item will be worth sending into Amazon. Once that's done, I then go to my profitability calculator after I have the average price, and I'm going to enter it in, and it's going to tell me whether or not this item will be profitable. So going to AZ Insight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sell price, and this is for FBM, so we want to go to FBA, and I'm going to enter in 160, and then our buy cost, which is going to be $77. At that price, we would be making a profit of around $32. So let's say this item dropped all the way down to 130. At that price, we would still be making a profit. So that is a really good sign because this is an indication that I can still be profitable even if the price tanks. So let's say the price goes down to 120 or even 115 where it was at its lowest. That means that even though I might still be selling at a little bit of a loss, I'm not going to be taking a loss of around $20. I'm not going to be taking a loss of $30 just to get rid of this item. The other thing I look at is to see right here with AZ Insight, it'll show you, number one, are you gated on listing? Number two, can you actually sell it? Do you need to go ahead and get brand approval or category approval? It'll also tell you if an item is hazmat. And lastly, it will go ahead and it'll tell you, have there been a history of IP complaints? Now, the IP complaint feature is not 100% foolproof. It's just something that I take into account. If I see that it gives it a strong indication, then I might go ahead and I might contact the brand. I might look at other products for this brand and just see, are there other indications on the listing or in Keepa? Again, you can look at the price history and see if the number of sellers has just dropped off. So again, it's just an indication I take into account. After that, I look at the monthly sales. So like we estimated, this is doing 9 monthly sales, similar to what we saw in the BSR drop. We saw that the sales rank had dropped 9 times in the past 30 days. So the revenue at the current price is doing roughly around $1,800. And with 9 sales, we would be making, at our estimated price of $160, that's the average price for the past 90 days, we would be making around $30. So roughly $300 profit if we were to sell all 9 sales. So now that we have the monthly sales and our profit, the next thing that we need to take into account was how many sellers are on this listing. So currently, you'll see that it's saying that there's only 2 FBA sellers, so there's 2 FBA offers. However, we saw that over the past 180 days, there were roughly about 4 sellers that were competitive for the buy box. So estimate about 10 sales a month with 4 sellers. If we jump on, then that's going to be 5. So each seller, if everyone was at the same price, would be getting around 2 sales a month. So now that I know that I would be profitable and that I can probably get around 2 to 3 sales a month, I'm just going to check the stock checker, and I see that these people have, one has 11 and the other seller has 12. So they don't keep too many units in stock. And this is an indication because generally I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to buy a lot of excessive inventory if other sellers are not doing the same. So I see that these sellers have about 11 or 12, and that's mostly going to cover around 2 months worth of inventory. So I might send in like 5 units or I might send in 8 units just as a test shipment to see, okay, sending in these items, will they actually sell? Based on the current numbers, this listing actually looks pretty promising. I can make around $25 to $30. And let's say I get 3 or 4 sales, that could be $120 profit every month. So with FBA, a lot of people try and find products that they're going to get 1,000 sales a month. However, you can actually build a business focusing on items where you might only get 10 sales a month. However, if you're making, let's say $100 from each product and you have 10 product, that's $1,000 in profit. So it's all about the numbers. It's not about only how many sales you get. It's also about how many sales, the profit, what you're looking for, and how you want to build your business. So on the surface, this item looks profitable. The next step is to run the other numbers. How much will shipping be? Can I ship this directly from my supplier to Amazon? Do I need to ship it to myself to Amazon? Do I need to worry about prep costs? Does this item need any special prepping? Do I need to ship it to a prep center? Can I have my supplier label it? Does Amazon need to label it? Those are all things we'll discuss in another video. However, they are super important because that could drive up your cost significantly. And you want to make sure that you are aware of those costs, because if you don't enter them in and you're not aware of it, an item might look profitable on the surface. However, once you get it into Amazon, you find out that you're losing money. The last feature I want to quickly show you is that now that I've identified an item, we have already saved this item in ScanUnlimited. We already have this in our file right here. However, one thing that you can do is if you want to build another list of only items that meet your criteria, you can actually go through AsinZen and you can send the items to a Google Sheet, or you can download it to a CSV. So again, there's a lot of ways that you can export this to additional files. This can help with your workflow. This can help if you have employees, if you're working in your warehouse, if you're working with VAs. So this is how I use my workflow. Again, I go from ScanUnlimited and then I narrow it down, and then I go from those listings and then I look at Keepa and then I look at AsinZen, and then I build a file, and then I see how many units I want to order. So based off of the numbers like right here, let's say that I wouldn't pay anything else in prep fees or shipping. So based off of those numbers, I'd be making about $30 or $20 profit between there per sale, and this item's getting around 10 sales per month. Right now, there are 2 competitive FBA sellers, and in the history of the last 6 months, there were roughly about 4 competitive sellers. So if we plug in all the numbers, I would more or less be doing around 3 to 4 sales a month. So I would buy inventory based off of those numbers. For this item, I'd probably go for a month and a half worth. So maybe I would send in around 7 to 8 units, somewhere around there. And now I would go back to my supplier, see how much the shipping costs are, see if the numbers still make sense. If everything checks out in the end, then I would go ahead and I would work out the logistics for sending it to Amazon. One last thing I wanted to show in the video before I exit out is when you click on a listing, with Keepa, you can actually see Amazon is on the listing. So this is something that was not on the item we were looking at. However, it is something you want to look at. So here I see that Amazon is on the listing, and that's the orange. And if you skip out to all, which is 219 days, I can see that Amazon is on this listing always, and they're always in the buy box price. As a general rule of thumb, it's pretty hard to compete with Amazon. And as you can see, they're always in the buy box, they're always matching the price. So I would personally stay away from products like this. I just wanted to include this caveat so that you are aware of this information. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. It was a little bit more in depth. I'm playing around with doing more in-depth videos versus just doing videos that are shorter and have less information. But let me know if you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button if you did. Also subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.